This is the ancient castle and the monastery. It is on the prime lands of the Finnic Vikings, who ruled the north with the Scandinavian Vikings. And Tolkien, in his Lord of the Rings and other works, got really inspired by this land's mythology, and one of his Elvish languages is generated by the old Finnic language. And Tolkien even wrote a book called Kullervo, which is inspired by Finnic actually. And those lands, here was the primal land of the Vikings, until the Christian crusaders came and conquered the land and Christianized it. Here used to be great kingdom of Kalevala, and the kingdom existed for at least 1,000 years because the Romans were not able to come here, and by 1200 the Christian crusaders were able to conquer the whole land. But what was interesting, around 1100 this land was ruled by the wealthiest kingdom in the north, because here was the iron supply of the Europe. Here were the swords and the armors were smithed and melted. This land was the wealthiest. The Byzantine and Arabic silver came to the north with the Varangians, the Varangs, who were also the founders of the Kievan Rus, and also the vanguard for the Byzantine emperor, for the Holy Roman Emperor. So this land holds a lot of mysteries and insights that we can discover together. And the most interesting thing is that when the crusade was announced to the north, to the kingdom of Kalevala, it was named the Holy Mary's land, and it is on the same line with the Holy Land. So we have got the same time, and the German historians say there was nothing before that there was a crusade just announced upon a forest. But that's really strange. Why you should announce a crusade upon a forest? Because here was a kingdom and here were primordial castles. We are in the city or the village of Padise, and here, a few kilometers from this castle, is the old mound for the people that lived and created their castles over here. So, hope you found it interesting. Here we are at the outskirts of the Caesarean monastery in a village of Padise in Estonia. This monastery is quite fascinating because it was created upon the old Finnic fortifications, and here used to be one of the capitals of the many clans of the Finnic tribes that inhabited this land long time ago. Nowadays, most Finnic people have been exterminated in the world. We are the population of minority. In Estonia, 1 million speakers. In Finland, 5 million. In Russia, some 8 to 10 million speakers. Some Hungarian, 10 million speakers. Not many. But in the past, those people used to be all around the north. In Scandinavia, in north of Germany, in Poland, out to the Ural Mountains in Russia. And those Finnic Vikings, they were instrumental in creating great empires, like the bodyguard of the Byzantine emperor were the Varangians, the Varang guard, who were the great Vikings, the ones who were seeking the treasure seekers. So they went from the rivers, from the great river basins of Vainajoki, from Volga, etc., from the north to the south. They were the founders of the Kievan Rus, of the land of Kievs. And when there have been DNA tests, so most Russian people to the west of the Urals and the eastern Ukraine, so when you put the Ukraine into half, the Eastern and the Belarusians, the Lithuanians, Latvians, they share this quite similar genetic codes to the Finnic people, to the Finnish, to the Estonians. So the language should have been probably the same as well in the past, as many place names, etc. tell. But the most fascinating thing about those Finnic people is the Tolkien's fascination. Like J.R.R. Tolkien with his Lord of the Rings. He created two elven languages, the high and the lower. The one he got inspired by the Welsh language, used the Welsh as the basis for the elven language. And the other one, he used the Finnic epoch, the epos Kalevala, to create a language. And a lot of stories that revolve around the Tolkien's world, the honoring of the trees, the almighty power of the nature, how always the forces of nature, they rule over the will of the man. Like Saruman, he tried to create an army of Uruk-hais that wanted to destroy the land, but then the trees came out in rage and destroyed the Saruman's plans. The topic of industrialization and respecting the nature is relevant in his work, and the same is with the religion of the ancient Finnic Vikings. The most important thing was the power of the nature, that we were able to perceive, that we saw the awe in the nature, all the beings that walk around, the elven folk, the gnomes, the fairies, the Bigfoots, the unseen giants. Our mythology is full of giants that rule the world. The Kalevipoeg, the Kalevala, even the kingdom got its name from Kalevala, from the Sambo, the great force that hold it all together, the Sambo that created living cold, but also an eternal life. It's quite much like the Philosopher's Stone and the story of Nicolas Flamel, you know. But the story of the giants who walked across the sea, who created those great boulders of stone, who forced the smiths and the weaponry. By the year 1000 to 1100, this land was the richest in the north of Europe. The greatest treasure was hidden here, because here was forced the weaponry for the warfare. And those weapons were exported to the south, to the southern kingdoms, to the great halls of Istanbul, etc. And people here received in exchange various silver and golden mints, the coins. There was huge amount of silver found on those lands, and there is no natural silver or gold here, but only the coins that were exchanged and traded. But later, when the Christianity came and they created this monastery, then they started also exchanging slaves. Many like blonde-haired and blue-eyed children were taken to the south, to the peninsula of Crimea, etc., to the slave markets where they were traded to the sultans and to other people, because the pagan slaves, or the former pagans who were not willing yet to convert to Christianity, they were the best slaves. So many children were robbed, and many adults as well, and poked into the slavery. And when Christianity came, the history of the great kingdom of Kalevala was erased. And now we just know the German history, that here was the monastery and okay, there was some primal hillfort, something like that. And okay, here was some language, but those people were primitive people, they were stupid. No, here was a kingdom. Here was the richest kingdom in the north. It encompassed the modern lands of Estonia, the south of Finland, the Livonia, the Lapland, and parts of Russia. And there were other Finno-Ugric kingdoms that ruled, that were in the Prusland, in the Preisima, in Poland, but they all were exterminated and then erased from the names of history. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, hit the bell button, and see you next time. Goodbye.